The things we're going to go over today is the difference between your local PC and RDS, where to work on important documents, the purpose of the network drive, when to use save versus save as, and how to use Office 365 webmail and calendar. So to start off with, the personal computer, which is the computer that you sit down and sign into every day, like here that you're noticing this background's blue, and you'll notice also at the bottom that the taskbar is black. So that's a good indication that I'm on the local machine. If I go to the start menu of this local machine, you'll see I'm signed in as a manager. That tells me I'm, like I said, on that local computer. And when we sign into remote desktop, you'll notice this taskbar down here changes color. So it's always a good indication on which one you're on. Now, your personal computer stores data locally, and that's typically on a C drive. This data is vulnerable to loss because individual computers are not backed up. Also, compared to the server, when you sign into RDS, your local computer has limited storage capacity. So if I go here to what would be, I call a virtual file cabinet, File Explorer, and I open File Explorer, and I'm on the local PC, you'll see I just have the C drive. And this is, again, where we don't want to save things here in the documents or anything on this computer itself. And that's why we have the auto prompt credential window here to sign into the remote desktop service. If your computer does not auto-populate this security window, this is for external users only, but any computer out there that does not populate this security window, please send in a ticket and let us know, and we'll set that up so that it does, because this is where we want you to work. So the remote desktop service remotely accesses our file servers where large amounts of data are safely stored, shared, and backed up. So your external PC versus the internal RDS, when you have a username for your external PC, again, this one is the manager PC, and that username and password can remain the same indefinitely. But internally, on the remote desktop session, the corporate network, RDS and email, they have a permanent username with a password that will expire every 3 months and have those complexity requirements of 10 characters long, must contain 1 capital, 1 lowercase, and 1 number. And it can't contain your username, and as well as not been previously used. So you always want to work on files inside of the RDS. Now, exceptions are web-based programs. For example, Yardi, Office 365, and Grace Hill. So here on the local, I'm still on the local computer, and I open up my web browser. In this case is Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox. Those are other examples of web browsers. But these are the places where you could go to Yardi or get email externally. And again, Grace Hill, I said, is another example of something that's just web-based. So you could work on your desktop, your local desktop, to access anything on the web browser. However, where we really want you to go is into the remote desktop service. So I'm going to log in here as this prompted me to log in, and I'm signing in with just a temporary account. But when you're logged into RDS, or our remote desktop service, by default, all your documents will save to your home drive automatically. So I'm going to go back again to my virtual file cabinet here, and you'll see now that I have access to all the network drives, or any network drives that I should have access to. And by default, if I go to the shortcut right up here for documents, it's going to take me into my M drive, and this is where I can save files. If any of these links at the top don't work on your computer, please put in a ticket. I've seen a few that have had issues, and so you should be able to access your documents. And again, when I click on documents, you'll see it takes me right here into a place where I can store everything. If I were to click on the M drive, it's the same path. You notice the path up here, my M drive document. So these are just shortcuts up here for saving files. But again, by default, it will put everything in your home drive, and your home drive is where you want to put everything personal. You should save everything in your M drive, such as your time card. Exceptions would be anything that needs to be accessed or worked on by others in your department. Because data on the shared drives, the other drives, for example, the Everyone drive, is accessible by all. Now, we want to get to the subject of saving files versus save as. So, you only want to save a document when you are the original creator of that document, or you're making edits to the original that you created. So you never want to share on a fillable form, and let's say an Adobe form, for example, on the Y drive, something you would go in here and fill out a form on the Y drive that is a form that would have blank places to fill in things here. So you would never want to save a file on the Everyone drive because the next person inherits the information you filled in. So they would see everything you left here. So this is why save as is always the best option. So using save as, there are three very important boxes you want to pay attention to. I'm going to open up this document that should look familiar to some of you. This was a document I created on how to change your password in the remote desktop session. You have to always log in with your current password, which as long as it hasn't expired, you can get in there and you can reset your password, which is what we hope you all will do. Because again, if you forget your password, you must now go through your supervisor to get approval to get it changed. So you would always sign in, and once you're signed in with your current password, you hit Control-Alt-End on your keyboard, or Control-Alt-Delete if you're using a Mac. And then Mac keyboards was quite a little different as well. But I just opened up this Word document to give you an example of saving a file and how important it is when you select File. And using Save As, again, is always going to make a copy of that original instead of putting something back on the original unless you want those edits on that original. So we click on Save As. I'm going to save this just to my desktop. So, of course, on this PC on my desktop. And you can see this path up here. So I have my pop-up window here that's telling me I'm going to save this file as, and this is my location. So this is the first really important box up here, is the path and the location that I'm going to save the file. That way you always know where to find it once you save it. The next important box is the name of the document, and in this case I'm going to leave it the same. I'm not going to change the document name, but I'm going to convert it to a PDF document, which is standard formatting here, and it's going to open when it's done. So, again, three really important things is where are you saving a file, what file name are you giving it, and what type of format are you choosing to save it as. So then you just click Save, and you'll see that's going to convert to a PDF document, and it's going to open up on my desktop as a PDF document now. And that is the advantages. I'm going to close out this Word document. Advantages, now you see I have the Word document down here, how to change your password, and I've also created a PDF. Now the next thing we're going to cover is the email and Office 365. So Office 365 email is your new external email format, or it will be soon if you're not using it externally. Office 365 is cloud-based, which means it can be accessed on your local computer or inside RDS via Chrome or any other web browser. Any files, however, with hyperlinks in them, something that, let's say, to our Y drive, you would have to open your mail inside the RDS. You can open email outside on your desktop, as I explained earlier. But again, if there was a hyperlink to something inside here where all our files are stored, you wouldn't be able to access it. So when I sign into email here, when I'm inside the remote desktop, remember I mentioned about the different color taskbar down here, that it's a light blue versus a black that's on your desktop. But again, I sign into the email, and it's going to take me directly there because I've already provided my credentials when I signed into this account. So this is a test account I had. But because my credentials are already provided, I don't get a little pop-up. If I wanted to get my mail when I'm on my local desktop or my local PC, it would prompt me for credentials to sign in. So all your folders, your contacts, and your calendars sync from your current Outlook program itself to Office 365. I don't actually have any mail in this account particularly, and not much for people or anything like that, but everything, all the folders you would have would all sync to Office 365, and this little icon in the corner is the icon that can take you back to the main options. The things we use most are mail, calendar, and people. And the calendar, I have a calendar overview video. It's only 4 minutes long. It does have a little issues with skipping a little bit. However, I'm still going to play that video for you. So I'm going to pull that up in just a moment here. If you give me 1 minute, and I will share this. And again, just bear with the glitchiness of it there. It just gives you a kind of a simple overview of calendar options and how to use calendar. And I believe most of you are familiar with mail already. And I'll come back on as soon as the video's done.
Hello, this is John from Metro Community. In this video, I'd like to show you all about using the calendar in the Office 365 web portal. So, from the home page here, we can access the calendar by clicking the calendar tile. Once we're on the page, we get a good look at our schedule for the month. So if we want a more precise view of what we're doing each day or week, we can go to the top right-hand section of the screen and click our day view, see what we're doing that day. Work weeks to get a good view of what we're doing Monday through Friday. The full week to get a view of Sunday through Saturday, and the month, which we just saw. On the right hand, you can see little snippets of what you have for that particular day. You also have the option to add another calendar, which you can get to by going up to the top of the screen and clicking Add Calendar. This will give you the option for a secondary calendar that you can use for your personal life. A birthday calendar where you can list out all the people in your company when their birthdays are. Holiday calendar, and something that you have on file. So now that we have a good sense of how the calendar looks, we're going to want to make an appointment. And we can do that by going to the top left-hand side of the screen and clicking the New button. In addition to setting a calendar event, you can also send an email message from here if we'd like. We're going to click Calendar Event. And this is a form we can fill out to customize our event. We can select a title. I'm just going to put in lunch. We can add a location, and we click through there. We'll get a search bin option that will allow us to search for locations that exist on a map. And if your company has a database of rooms that can be used for conferences and meetings, you can click Add Room. You'll be able to see if that room has been booked already. Then below that, you can select the different times. If you have the day, I can find next week. I can select the time, noon. I can also select if that event will be all day, in which case the time will be grayed out and will be selectable. We can can also choose to have our event set as private if we'd like, in which case it won't show up on other users' calendars that were shared to. If we'd like the event to repeat, we can select that as well. We can have it set for repeating every day, every Tuesday, every workday, and repeating every day of that month. So if we set it for the 31st, we can repeat every 31st day of the month. We can also set reminders for our event. We can click there and have a set of different increments that we'd like our reminders to be sent out at. We can have 15 minutes, an hour, days, weeks, etc. We also have the option to set email reminders. So we can click through there, set a reminder, an email reminder to go out to us at a certain time, and if we'd like that email reminder to be sent to us for all attendees, and a little message if we'd like that as well. I'm just going to click this. We can also choose how we'll appear to other people in our company. You can see here that default is busy, but we can also set it as free, in which case we're available to talk at that time. Working elsewhere where we may not be on site, so there's a possibility that event might not actually happen. Busy. And away. So maybe we're on vacation, something like that. I'll put busy. Next, we can also customize our meeting with notes that will give attendees a good idea of what the meeting is for. The lunch meeting, I'll just type in, we eat lunch. So that's all the customization we have for the event itself. We can also add people to the event. So when we click there, it'll show up different people in our company. I'll go ahead and invite Alan to lunch. And I will invite Greg. And so a neat thing that we have here is the ability to see if this time that I selected will work for us. I can click Scheduling Assistant here, which will bring up a little window that will show all our schedules side by side. This will allow me to have a good idea of what time is going to work best, so we don't have to have a back and forth deciding, oh, this time works for me, no, that time doesn't work for me. So I'll click OK because that time works. And that's just about everything. I can choose to attach a file from my computer, choose to make this a Skype meeting if I'd like, or add a little charm. We'll customize the event in the calendar a bit more, or categorize this as well, so we can have different colored things on our calendar. I'll go ahead and click Send. There we can see that we have that on our calendar. And that's all there is to setting an event in the Office 365 web portal. This has been John at Metro CSG showing you how to use your calendar in Office 365. Thank you very much.
All right, well, I am back on, and thanks again for putting up with a little bit of glitchiness in that video. You didn't really miss any content when he was speaking. It just, he tended to have some skipping, and I again apologize about that. But I hope you learned a little bit about the calendar overview. I know some of you may find that this is basic knowledge, but I hope you learned something new today. And I will be providing a follow-up quiz. It'll be a simple quiz, but if you can just respond with your answers and send it back, it'll be via email. In conclusion, here's what we learned and covered today, and that was the difference between your local PC and the RDS, where to work on important documents, the purpose of network drive, when to use save versus save as, and how to use the Office 365 webmail and calendar. And just to follow up with that original question that I presented to you on why is some of our housing specifically for seniors, some for farm workers, and some designated for veterans? Well, the answer is, and you may have known this, but it depends on where the funding comes from. For example, HUD, USDA, or the VA, Veterans Administration. And again, I appreciate you coming on. I will open it up for anyone if you have any questions. If not, you may sign off. And thanks again for joining us today. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.